They thought you were lying about being gay?
I guess so. So.
They just wanted to see it.
Well, it gets better.
But
it
gets better.
So this went on for about a month, the investigation. I continued to work. Now, of course, the military is worse than the middle school. Rumors and gossip spread. So, well, not rumors, I guess. Gossip spreads. People found out I was gay, and I was fine with it. It's finally out there, and I actually worked much better. My colleagues, curious, how was it like to live under this? But, we're surprised, but they were like, this is why you never hang out with us outside of work. This is why you're so secretive. You do your job and you're out the door. So they started asking me out. Let's bring your boyfriend. I'm getting married this summer. Make sure you're.
No one had an issue with it.
Right, exactly. No one had a problem.
So this kind of leads up to, as you were mentioning earlier, we worked together. We were there, one, to keep each other alive, and then to keep, fight freedom. Everything. There's so many things that we do, but pretty much, we watch each other's back.
Right.
Well, I would think if the enemy is shooting at you, you don't care if the guy next to you is
Exactly.
gay. You care about making it out the next day.
If he's a good shot.
That was one of my arguments, too. When I was in the streets of Baghdad, we had roadside bombs going off. We had people shot by snipers. And, I don't think any of them would have said, wait, wait a minute.
Well, exactly.
So that was,
was it then that they released you?
No, it gets even better, actually.
Okay.
So the investigation is closed. It took about a month. Everyone's very supportive. I didn't have any, backlash. I didn't have any disciplinary action taken against me, which I don't know why they would. But a month later, I was called back in to see my commander. He said, the investigation is closed. And I said, okay. He said, well, we didn't find any proof of homosexuality. I was like,
after you gave him the video?
I thought
all right.
Okay.
So they really want you to go.
Okay. So wait a minute. So you went to them and you said, okay, you know what? I'm gay. Here's the video. I'm signing, the test, the whole proof of it, the whole 9 yards. And they came back and did an investigation and said you're not.
Yes.
Right.
I thought.
But maybe they said that because they didn't want to kick you out,
so what
right?
was the deciding factor that got you kicked out?
Well, okay, I'll fast forward, then we can leave open for questions.
Yeah.
So they told me, go back to work. You're doing a great job, working for the general. Later that year, everything was great. I was going out with my colleagues, and it was great. Later that year, in 2006, we deployed again, went back to Iraq. I was there for a couple weeks, and they said, we need someone to fill a position in Kuwait, the medical liaison officer. And I'm like, that sounds fancy. So I actually replaced somebody.
It's got a French word in it.
And a lot of eyes. Yeah. So I actually went down and replaced somebody 3 ranks above me. So I thought, obviously, I'm doing something right. And I was very proud of my service. I thought I did a good job and served my country well. So I served at the entire rotation. It was almost 15 months. It went from October of 2006 until December of 2007, openly gay. I didn't flaunt it, and I didn't. I think it was helpful because I broke a lot of the stereotypes people had. I was still me. I was never referred to as the gay sergeant. I was always Sergeant Manzella.
Yeah, but okay. What are they expecting? Being in the front line in a pink boa?
They expect
that's
pink
camouflage.
camouflage.
Exactly.
Here comes hot pink camouflage.
That's
Well,
true.
they do.
I think that's
They
unfortunately.
think that you're completely different.
Yeah.
So it's great that you were able to
And
do this to show them that you're not.
And someone they knew for years was coming out, and I think it wasn't easy. It was difficult. I'm sure it was difficult for them. They didn't want to say the wrong thing, but I was always very honest. If you want to ask me something, that's fine. I won't get mad.
Okay, wait. You have to slow down 1 minute.
Sure.
Because I do appreciate the fact you're fast forwarding. However, I want just one. What was your favorite question that the guys asked you? You said they keep asking you a question. What was your favorite question?
Well, it's always the question about how do 2 guys have sex. That's it. And it's awkward to have one of your supervisors when you're at the beach drinking beer to ask, so how exactly does that work? I'm like, really? You're my supervisor. You're my supervisor, and you need to ask how that works. It's not.
It's amazing.
That's scary that they couldn't figure that out.
Well, I know. I think it's just people are just curious, and maybe he drank too much. I don't know.
Okay, so now the thing is closed. You've gotten this new position with replacing somebody 3 ranks above you. Everything's going great.
And I was in the Middle East. I had a lot of friends. I worked on a base. It was an Army base, but we had a Navy hospital, which I worked with. and we had all branches there. I met people from all branches,
So
military.
you had the Army, Navy, Marines, all of them.
Yep.
Settle down.
Air Force. we had armies from Israel. We had armies from Japan were there. We had Australia, Great Britain. So all ranks, all branches, and it was just it was so indicative of what the United States is. It was just such a good,
Melting pot.
Yeah.
exactly. And I had a lot of friends there. A lot were gay, a lot were straight, men, women. It was just such a diverse group, but we were each other's family again, and it was.
So again, you had gay and straight people there.
I was the only really open one, though.
Oh, okay. Yes, I had to ask that question.
We were open with each other in our group, but I was the one that was really open to the command. And but this is what I really saw the difference is I was able to, I could call my boyfriend on the phone. I could email. The email is monitored by the military. They can check any of your emails at all times. So I didn't have to worry about writing something where other people had to encrypt it. They had to worry about being overheard on the phone. They had to worry about anything, just saying the wrong word, and I didn't have to worry about it. I could have pictures of my boyfriend up at the time.
Okay, so see, this is what's confusing me, right?
It is, and this is not typical. I mean, I had a very unique situation. It has happened to other people, of course, but this is kind of what really we tried to break down Don't Ask, Don't Tell for. And that's what.
But was it making you nervous? Having. How did you feel? Because nobody else around you was really, they were really out.
True. I felt great. I felt sorry that they couldn't be, we could be together in our group of friends and they could be themselves, but as soon as they stepped away, they were someone completely different. And that's sad, especially when you're in an environment where you need that family, you need that support.
So how long did this go for that you were out and you didn't really worry about it?
Well, it was almost 2 years that I was out before I was discharged.
So how were you? What happened? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, when I was going through my investigation, there's a legal organization in Washington, D.C., Service Members Legal Defense Network. They work for repeal, Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and offer free legal services to people like me who are affected by it in the military.
They're a fabulous organization, and that's how we got in touch with each other.
Yes. And I was in touch with them, weekly, even when I was deployed. They want to make sure I wasn't getting any kind of discrimination, I wasn't getting any harassment, and I didn't. And they contacted me. They said CBS called. 60 Minutes wants to do a segment on a gay service member in the combat zone. I said, that's great. You guys should do it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, I know, right? There's a lot of sand in Kuwait. I had to clean it out. And I said, no, they want to interview you. I said, well, I don't really know how that'll work. And they told me, they want to do this. And I said, well, what could happen negative? They said, well, if you speak out, they can always come after you for Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I said, okay. That's kind of old news by now because I've already worked past it.
Because you've done, the case is closed,
it's like 2 years, right?
And, it was still, I didn't shrug it off. It was something I did have to think about. But, I was already serving openly. And they thought it was just a very good selling point for 60 Minutes.
Because you're hot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Am I right?
Thank you. And I think what really the selling point was, I said, what do you expect out of this? Like, if I decide to do this, what's the benefit? And they said, think about how you're living over there. And then they said, look at your friends. So I looked at my friends, and they said, there are 65,000 men and women in the military that are gay, lesbian, or bisexual. And that's kind of the lower end of the statistic.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
65,000.
Yes.
That's a big number.
And they said, look at you. You're open. You're doing well in the military. You can speak out for those 65,000 men and women and give your voice to them. And that, of course, that was a selling point. Like, fine, I'll do it. It took me 2 weeks. It wasn't a rash decision. It took me 2 weeks to think about it. So I agreed to do it. I learned at this point not to be shocked anymore. I confess that I'm gay, and they tell me I'm not. I'm like, okay. So, and they promote me. So I learned not to be gay. And I make jokes. I love the military. I don't regret a day I put the uniform on. I just want to make that clear. But it was, to me too, it was kind of I was just shocked at some points. But I did the interview. Leslie Stahl flew out to Kuwait. I met her. I was very crafty on how I did it. I did not break any laws or any policies by going to do the interview, but I was very crafty. So I was very proud of myself.
Sneaky, aren't you?
I was. But so then that aired in December of 2007, about a week before we came back. That's just how it happened.
How it worked out, yeah.
And then, so I was still deployed when it aired. I didn't even get to see it till I came back. 3 days before it aired, I went to my commanders and I told them, like, I'm going to be on 60 Minutes. You know, I gave them 3 days notice, so they really couldn't get anything off the network on my legal counsel's advice. And so it aired. I didn't know. Of course, we meet up. My division meets up a few days later to come back, and everyone's like, "What were you thinking?" Like, why? What are you talking about?
So your buddies were like,
they were
"Oh
shocked.
shit!"
They weren't. They were shocked, but they were proud. I had people say, "We're just so proud of you for standing up."
So
Yeah.
you could have served as long as you wanted, but had you not got on the show?
I don't know. At any moment, they could come back and say, you know, I don't know. And people, this is just, and then I can't speak for the commanders. There's people that have deployed, they come back, and there's commanders that have said, okay, you were found to be gay, 15, 16 months ago. We're going to discharge you now that we're back from.
After you've served.
After you've served.
served.
And that's,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
see.
happens a lot, but it has happened. There have been cases like that. So that was something that could always happen. But I was very, very passionate about this. I mean, I felt very strongly about it. And I knew there was a risk, but at the same time, I'm like, they kept me for this long, and I've been open. Maybe I didn't realize. I don't know. I was in Kuwait. Maybe I didn't realize it was primetime TV.
It's hot out there.
It's very hot out there.
Do you think now with the repeal, though, more people are going to come out that are serving in silence, or you think they're just going to continue to serve in silence?
I mean, that's a personal option. You know, it's their choice. They can do it if they want to come out. If they don't, I don't think it'll be overflowing. I think if the topic comes up, if someone were to ask me, are you gay? I say yes if they want to know. Some people they don't, and now they can't.
But the thing is to actually have that choice, right?
True.
To be able to say and live out and proud, and be yourself and serve with integrity, which is always what they're asking us to do, or you guys to do, right? But would you go back if once it's repealed? Would you go back to the military?
People have asked me that question since I was discharged, and just to let you know, I was discharged in June of 2008. It aired in December 2007. It took them 8 months to discharge me. Wow. But I get asked that all the time. Would you go back? And just to clarify too, I mean, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell has passed in Congress, both the House and the Senate. It is still not safe for people to come out in the military now. They have that 60 days, as you mentioned. And then there's going to be implementations, but I mean, and SLDN in D.C., they're still very vocal about that. It's not safe to come out just yet. I just like to put that out there.
See, that was the interesting part about it, because the day, the votes came in and it got repealed, it was 24 hours, and all over the place, it was like, do not come out.
Don't. I just wanted you to know that my son is a Navy SEAL, in case anybody doesn't know that. I say that every show.
Okay,
I
just
didn't have
to let
work
you know,
it in that time.
and I'm going to repeat it
But
because you weren't here last time. Benny and I met her son, Joe.
Yes, Joe Harper. My son's a Navy SEAL.
Hot.
And
Okay.
he just graduated SEAL training for 2 years, and I'm gonna get choked up. I talked to him today, and he wanted me to tell you, thank you for your service, and he would be proud at any moment to serve next to you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you to him for serving. And that's.
But, well, we're going to have, I'm sure
Questions.
people are like,
Already
questions.
people
Yeah.
are over
Yeah.
here with the
People have
questions.
But it's so funny because I did a little bit of research on this, and how people are preaching fiscal responsibility and all of that. So there is a statistic out there that says for every person that is discharged for Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it costs about $52,000. With the 13,000 that have been discharged, the bill $650 million. Okay.
Now, Darren, do you know, this might be an unfair statistic to ask you, do you know, or maybe Franz and Joseph, if you know, how many of our other soldiers are kind of in your boat? In other words, they have come out to their commander or come out and they're kind of living openly gay in the service, thinking that it's okay, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they get kicked out or discharged.
It does happen. I mean, there's cases of, and
Seems
no,
like it's...
no case is the same, obviously,
Right.
but a lot of things do happen. After I left the military, I worked for SLDN in D.C., and we worked with a lot of people with unique cases like that.
Right.
We had sailor in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He was discharged for being gay. The paperwork was wrong, so they recalled him, sent him back to the Middle East again. Then they kicked him out again with the proper paperwork when he got back. So that's just, it doesn't make sense.
She talks for you. Let us talk.